No. Wait, yes.
Hello and welcome to Wizards, Warriors and Words, a fantasy writing advice podcast. I'm Jed Herne, author of Fires of the Dead, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, starting with Michael R. Fletcher.
Hello, I am Michael R. Fletcher, author of those books you can see over one of my shoulders. Those are the hardcover limited. They're not a limited edition. They're just hardcovers.
They're freaking cool.
Unlimited edition.
I
like the way the colors contrast.
Yeah, they're set. That's the sexy edition.
But what are you going to
talking about?
go for book 3?
What?
What color are you going to go for book 3?
Fuck, I don't even know what's going to happen in book 3. It's a mess.
Green. I think the third one needs to be green.
No.
Or yellow. I think yellow.
No, blue. Everyone do different colors.
Yeah.
He's talking about the covers of Blackstone Heart and She Dreams in Blood, which have some beautiful special edition hardbacks, which are absolutely glorious. They look very cool.
Yeah.
Designed by Felix Ortiz,
who we just had on last
We
episode.
recently had on, which would be last week.
Should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, it was like 5 minutes ago.
We are time travelers. We don't actually, a lot of people think that we record these episodes in batches, but what we actually do is we just time travel in week increments so that we can record all these episodes and then release them immediately after we just speak these discussions.
We are time lords.
That's how the magic works. Yeah, that's right.
It's really tough to remember what clothes I was wearing and then time travel and have to put the same clothes on. It's
required for time travel, actually. And also, I realized I didn't introduce Rob and Dirk. Rob and Dirk, you're the other co-hosts of this podcast.
We are Rob and Dirk.
we are the Rob Dirk.
The Rob Dirk Rob. The Dirk Rob. So this episode, I thought we'd just do like a sort of random discussion. So let's just keep talking about what we were talking about before.
Well, it's funny. We just finished up an episode with Felix Ortiz. Did a couple that are amazing. I think you guys are going to like it. But then we started talking about. I was saying that the current SPFBO self-published fantasy blog off, if you're not familiar, which is kind of Mark Lawrence's baby, where 10 bloggers each get 30 books, and it gets narrowed down to the finalists, and then it's coming right down to the wire. And I was just talking to Mike, just saying that he has the top highest score right now, though there are some averages, but Mike is leading in that. But we were just talking about that, and Jed said, hey, let's just stop and talk about that in an episode. So here we are.
Although it is worth pointing out that by the time this episode goes out, we will know who won.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, actually, we will. In a few weeks, we will know. So
in fact, by the time this one goes out, the next one will probably have started.
Yeah.
When does it start up?
And I have a knife.
June, I think.
Yeah,
you do have a knife.
I have a new toy.
That's not a knife. This is a knife.
We need a thicker Australian accent for that. Come on.
Yeah, sorry, that wasn't a realistic enough Australian accent.
Yeah, I mean, are you just not good at Australian?
I'm sorry.
It's not really an Aussie.
He's Jed is actually in Indiana somewhere. Some town in he's like in Kokomo or something.
Secrets revealed. I don't even know where that is. I presume that's in America somewhere.
Can we get another Aussie on at some point? Should we get like Alicia Wanstall Burke on, and you two can just swear at each other in Aussie, and we can sit there going, huh?
We do need to get the
mate.
quokka. We need the quokka.
Is she even in Western Australia, or is she in the eastern part of Australia?
She's in England now.
Oh, what? How can she call herself a quokka then? Because those only exist in Western Australia.
She just moved over. She and Graham Austin King are getting married.
Yeah.
I mean, congratulations to them, but also can't call yourself a quokka queen if you don't live near Rottnest Island, which is where the quokkas exclusively are, which is 20 kilometers from where I am right now.
Unless she brought them with her.
No, she is
That'd
a
quokka.
Her true face, she is a quokka.
I think that's something
that's just a skin suit that she wears.
Dirk, I'm actually curious. Dirk, go around and tell us what all of our true faces are, which is a reference to Paternus, by the way. If you
boy, you'll have to let me think about that.
I think my true face is a hat.
I think Rob is actually a quiche hound.
Quiche hound? Does that mean
what is that?
A quiche hound.
Quiches.
That's not a real thing.
It's a hound made of baked goods.
And Mike is a possum. And,
what exactly is a possum? I mean, I come from England. We don't know what possums are. Are they like trash
Possums
rats?
are.
yeah, they are, but they're actually very cool. They can't get rabies and they eat ticks. So
Just like Mike.
leave the possums alone.
Can't get rabies and I eat ticks.
And Jed is a hamster.
Yeah, I'd buy that. I'll accept it. I would have also accepted beaver or bowerbird, but those answers are good too. Yeah.
I think anything where they clearly store food in their cheeks to eat for the later.
Yes. I'm a lot less hamstery looking since I had my wisdom teeth out, but before that, and like during the wisdom teeth operation, they were really like, full hamster mode for the cheeks.
I just pulled those out of my ass, so
Put them back in
nothing
there.
to do with real
There you
physical.
go.
You're pulling wisdom teeth out of your ass, dude.
Yeah.
No wonder I had to go to hospital for like a week after that. That would explain it.
Yeah, that's the
I think
infection.
the surgery was weird when they had to go up through the different entrance to get it out. But
All right, weird question here.
yes.
Yeah.
What the fuck is this episode about? What are we doing?
Who knows?
Did we start with an idea?
We're
I thought
just-
you had an
we're
idea, and
yeah,
we were
we're
all like,
talking
yeah,
about-
that's cool. Roll.
We're talking
And then I
about
completely forgot
we were
what the idea
talking about
was.
the SPFBO.
Oh, that's right.
And that's it's kind of a big deal for us because the SPFBO was the I give the SPFBO credit for anyone knowing that my books exist at all.
It's
because-
a huge bump.
Because I entered my very first book just because I happened to see something about it on Reddit, and never expected it to go anywhere at all. And I got put in Fantasy Factions group. It's limited to 300 books, 300 entries only, and it's supposed to be only fantasy. And 10 different bloggers, some of the biggest bloggers in the world, each get 30 books, and they narrow it down to one book, and they each get to pick one to be a finalist. So there are only 10 finalists, and this thing takes a year. So this goes on for years. So you actually get some publicity for a long time. And I somehow made it as a finalist and ended up placing third behind Phil Tucker and Jonathan French.
Yeah,
So
that's a
I
rough
do
year to
not
be in.
feel bad about that at all. And it's just, and that's how I met. Through that, I have met everyone here and everyone that I know it's through connections and their connections and their connections that I know anyone, and have made some amazing friends, and that anyone knows about my books. So,
And some amazing enemies as well.
and
Oh,
some
fantastic
amazing, some
enemies, yeah.
fantastic enemies.
Some of
as
the
well.
I met my nemesis in SPFBO in the year that where loyalties lie, won it.
Yeah.
I met my
Thanks.
nemesis,
Did you actually
J.A.
win?
Andrews.
No, he won. Yeah.
One?
Yeah.
He
Oh,
won. He won the
that's why
year
he's
after.
What's the word I'm looking for?
The year after mine,
Annoying.
Rob entered in and won. And then
Rob's
now,
a beast at this competition because you won it one year and then Never Die placed in the top 10 last year.
yeah,
It's insane.
I'm the only author ever to have a finalist twice.
Yeah.
and then
And
then
you wouldn't
Mike
know
is-
it from the way that he acts. So
Mike-
humble.
Mike is
Unfortunately, I'm not the only finalist to also have a sword
Yes.
from the book nest. Unfortunately, in fact, was Ben a finalist as well? Was Ben Galley a finalist? Yeah, I think he was. So that means that every person who's won one of these swords has also been a SPFBO finalist.
Yeah, these are
my sword is in the mail, apparently.
It's
These
almost
are,
like having a really sharp, dangerous weapon makes it really easy for judges to please you. I sense a bit of
these are
rationing
from
going on
the
there.
Book Nest Fantasy Awards best self-published novel. Mine won in 2018, and Nicholas Eames won for best trad that same year for Kings
nice.
of the Wild. So pretty good company.
If you're listening to the podcast, they were just holding up their swords. They're not that impressive at all. They're just little toothpicks, really. So there's no need for you to go over to the YouTube video and see how big they actually were in real life, because they weren't that big, and I'm not intimidated or jealous at all.
It's all right. You've got to win one yourself now.
Yeah, I
like
know.
soon Michael will have two. So then, like next year, Jed, win it.
That's the goal. I gotta have a fantasy book that pleases everybody. So I'm gonna call it Dragon, Kingdom, Sorcerer, Death, Shadow, War, Revenge, Magician.
Get all the fantasy buzzwords in
Get
one
them
title.
all in there. Yeah.
No, you don't, because my books definitely don't please
It's
everyone.
true.
That's
It
true.
was this book that won.
Wrath of Gods. Wrath of Gods is pretty pleasing, isn't it? I haven't actually read it yet. I've only read the first Paternus
What?
book. First Paternus book pleased me
Disgraceful.
immensely, though. That's pretty good. Rob, I gotta admit, I haven't read any of your books either. I've just watched the movies.
Yeah, I know. To be honest, the movies are better than my books.
Speaking of movies,
They got Dirk to write the scripts.
hey, there we go. And he also acts and directs in the movies. It's a real auteur
True.
production.
Yeah.
I thought it was weird when Dirk had the wig on when he was playing Esker, but he really pulled it off.
He really pulls off a 16-year-old angry girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like a Daniel Day-Lewis level of method acting immersion within that movie.
That's some range.
Oh, there's range everywhere. It just goes from one side to the other. Actually, no, genuinely, like I joke about trying to cram as many fantasy words into the title at the moment, but like genuinely right next to me, I just got to check if there's nothing incriminating on here. On my whiteboard here, I have been trying to figure out an interesting title for my next book that puts enough interesting fantasy words in it in a way that doesn't just sound really hacked. And it's hard because all the good titles are taken.
Cool.
So what do you guys
effort
think
you
about
put
that?
into this stuff? Whereas
Too
we're
much work.
like, there's a Blackstone heart in my book. Oh, all right, there we go, done.
Yeah.
Well, the book, the project that I'm working out on now, it started out as a joke in a writer's group where I was like, screw it. I'm going to write a magic school, military school, dragon rider, progression fantasy. And that's what I'm actually doing.
Yeah.
And that's my thing, except my main character rides a kraken, if you can imagine that.
Kraken Rider Z.
Yeah, it's just
coming
like
to cinemas soon.
trying to hit all the spots, and I'm having so much fun writing it though.
Does everybody else in the world ride dragons?
Yeah, there are.
But he rides a kraken.
And he rides a kraken instead.
This seems like they're going to have some slight problems interacting. Dragons being sky and krakens being water.
So how that works
so.
is that this is a world mostly made of water. The largest
Water world?
It's a nautical world based entirely on the sea. The largest nation is like the size of New Zealand in the entire world, largest kingdom. So they rely very much on ships and sea travel and fishing and trade. And the ocean is a very, very dangerous and nasty place. So they have the dragon riders. They assign them to His Majesty's ships and His Majesty's trade ships. And they go out and help protect against pirates and beasts and enemy nations and stuff like that. So in a world like that, if you have a kraken on your side, you are doing very well, because in the story, I don't want to get into my thing too much, but in the story, no one's seen a kraken in 1,000 years. But the myth is that, if and legend and stories they're all told as kids is that if there's anything a dragon fears, it's a kraken. So
Coming in 2022, Kraken Riders of Pern.
Yeah. So a kid finds a baby kraken and saves it, and they become bonded, like dragon and rider become bonded, and it becomes they end up
a bondage book too.
Going into this military school where they train dragons and dragon riders. So But that's
So did you hear what Mike just said? I think he slipped that in without you.
no what I missed. Did he slip it in and I didn't even feel it?
Oh yeah. Same here, Mike. That was
What was it?
Nothing. Let's moving right along before.
No, you're not.
Episode again, Dirk.
Damn it.
Okay. I didn't even know where to go after that, but
the
Well, let's be fair about this. This episode's a complete mess from the beginning.
Yeah, that's true.
The SPFBO. Mike is a contender to win this year.
That's
with
it.
With Blackstone Heart. Show us the cover.
Yeah.
Do as I say.
And if Mike doesn't,
I'm gonna abuse him for whatever that comment was for the whole rest of it. But
Well, that's a Monday. Do as I say.
Mike is a contender right now, but
the Ashton says do this.
All of your scores are in right now, Mike. Right?
Yeah,
all
my
all
scores
10
are in,
bloggers.
but there are
still enough blanks to come in for some of the others that it's going to be neck and neck. So
yeah, I think my my stay at the top of the leaderboard is going to be short lived indeed.
Yeah,
I think there's a couple of reviews coming in for
Lost
Justin's
War
book. Yeah, Lost War.
Yeah,
I think from what I've heard from people who have read it, it's a really, really freaking good book, and that's
I've seen some big surprises. I've been watching it for years and analyzing it, because from when I was in it in 2016, so it's been a while.
Yeah, Mark Lawrence, I think he's getting better at sort of like playing the whole thing. He's a total drama queen.
No, it's great. It's Mike.
He has the scores for a while before they come out, I think, does Mark, and he schedules when they're going to be released to increase the drama.
Nice.
But I've seen some big surprises where a leading book will suddenly get a 6. And that'll
we can but hope.
Yeah.
I know.
No,
I have nothing but respect for Justin, but he could have a couple of 6s. That'd be okay.
It does happen. So you never know. And yours are all in and they're all good. So we'll see.
I think one thing that is worth pointing out as we're talking about SPFBO, by the way, is because Dirk obviously bigged it up at the beginning quite a lot, is enter with low expectations. If you are going to enter your book, don't enter it thinking this is going to be my big break. My book's going to be catapulted to the stratosphere, all that lot, because chances are still against you for that to happen, regardless of how good your book is. However, if you go into it with the mindset of, I'm going to go into this, I'm going to have a bit of fun, I'm going to try and meet
some people,
contacts, friends within the industry, I think that's when you're going to get the most out of it.
And that was the best. I mean, of everything, the best thing that came out of it was all the people that I know now. Just
the friends we made along the way.
Yeah, like Laura Hughes and the bunch from Jeff Matthews, GR Matthews, and those guys. They introduced me to so many awesome people that they're friends to this day.
This is my DNF squad hoodie. This is from last year. All the finalists.
Awesome.
We all in a little group together, and I think this one was designed by Virginia McLean. She designed the DNF hoodie.
That's awesome.
We've just got us. This is all of us as hedgehogs.
Hedgehogs.
I love it.
That's pretty cute.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Right. Well. I guess that is interesting. That by the time this episode comes out, I guess SPFBO will be decided, so you can
the winner will be announced.
You can see how accurate our predictions were, or how wildly inaccurate they were.
1 week left, I think. Right? It's what month is this?
I think it's 1 week that all the rest of the scores have to be in.
I can start again.
Yeah, May 1st. I think by May 1st, all the rest of the scores have to be in.
Nice.
And I think
Fletch,
usually starts sign-ups at the end of May or the beginning of June.
Yeah, something like that.
Ooh, I better get my book ready. Well, are you guys entering anything for this year?
Yeah, I think Clayton and I are going to enter Norilsk Groans.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Good idea.
Co-write thing.
Yeah.
Which you can get for free if you sign up to our Patreon. Just a cheeky little plug for our Patreon there. Sign up and you can get Norilsk Groans as the ARC copy on our Patreon.
Rob, are you allowed to enter anything because you have won before and done well? Is that
yes. Mark says I'm allowed to enter despite the fact that some people don't want me to.
It's
Yeah.
much like how we don't want to allow, Usain Bolt to compete in multiple Olympic events because he did well in previous events. So you don't want to have him back again. You want to give someone else a chance.
No, we want him back.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What are you into,
more
Rob?
gold medal. I don't know. I might enter Pawn's Gambit, to be honest.
Cool.
Because I feel that's quite funny. Ends Never Die, it did well. Enter Pawn's Gambit. See how that does.
Yeah, you first of all annoy the people who are like, don't enter again because you did well, and then second of all, you technically enter a second book, which you're not supposed to.
It's not a second book.
But it's not a second book because it is
right. Like
just set in the
it's
same
no
book.
more second book than Benedict Patrick's all of his Yarns World books, which he enters every single one.
Yeah.
So
And
there we
gets
go.
to be and is a finalist a lot.
No, he's actually never been a finalist, but
No?
his covers always do really well because
Yeah.
gorgeous covers.
Yeah. they're great.
But he always gets picked to the post by someone else, which is really unfortunate. I'm always rooting for Benedict because I'm just like, come on, dude, it's your turn.
Yeah.
You should enter Razor's Edge. Have you entered that?
Well, all right, there's a whole thing. I'm thinking of entering Pawn's Gambit because Spirits of Vengeance is out this year, and I might enter along the Razor's Edge next year because Eska's final 2 books are out next year.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Sorry, I'm still dying here.
That's
I
the
think probably,
SPFBO judges who want to poison you before you can enter next year's event.
Might well be.
I think the
Awesome.
smartest thing I've ever done was stage the release of book 2 for Blackstone Heart. She Dreams in Blood. Released it basically mid-April, right as SPFBO's rolling down, because Blackstone Heart's getting a ton of attention, and She Dreams in Blood, like I have never seen pre-orders and sales like that before. It was fucking mental.
Awesome.
It was
Yeah.
mental.
That's great, man.
So I'm kind of, I would like to say that I knew it was going to work like that, and I planned everything, and I am really smart.
We
And
all
it's
know
true.
better.
And it's all
We
true.
all
And
know
it's all true.
better. No.
Mike, you don't have to give specific details if you don't want to, but I'm just curious if you could talk a little bit more about that, because we've discussed it a bit off air, how She Dreams in Blood has done exceptionally well, but we haven't really talked about it on the podcast. So do you want to maybe just talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really want
Up
to
to
go into numbers because it'll
Yeah.
sound like I'm bragging, which is kind of, I totally would be.
Yeah, totally fair.
Yeah, so it is. So previously, Blackstone Heart was by far like my best sort of released book in terms of like sales, pre-orders and stuff. And by a long shot, like Blackstone Heart has done really well for me, which has been nice. She Dreams in Blood literally tripled the number of pre-sales that Blackstone Heart had, and
Awesome.
Blackstone Heart was like by far the most I'd ever pre-sold. And
Nice.
That is awesome.
I mean, it's weird because like it's not that long ago that I kind of knew everybody who was buying my books.
Yeah.
If not directly, at least
Yeah.
I could go to like the Grimdark Readers Writers group on Facebook, and like they were basically all on there.
Yeah.
But like
And Reddit.
She Dreams in Blood has been out not even a week. Came out on the 16th. And I don't know that many humans.
Yeah.
I'm confused as to who's reading it now, because now it's like apparently people who I don't know have heard of me. And I'm, it's weird to see people go like, oh yeah, talking about that Michael R. Fletcher guy and these books. It was like, oh, what? That's me? Oh,
Yeah. That is a weird feeling when I mean it was a slow build, real slow, and it still is for my books because they're in an odd genre, it's urban fantasy, but it's not kind of thing. And but then to see all these page reads come in, and most people don't review or anything, but it's like there are a shitload of people that I don't know that are just random readers from God knows where reading my book. It is a weird feeling.
yeah.
That's awesome. I'm really happy to hear that. And hopefully the third book does even better.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. We'll see.
As long as
Some
I didn't
pressure.
blow, as long as
Yeah,
I didn't
that's right.
blow it with chagrin.
You
as
did
long-
Exactly how much of book 3 is written so far?
First 2 chapters are written, and I'm plotting out the next 3 chapters before I write them. Kind of how I've been doing it.
You're
lately.
plotting?
I'm plotting 3 chapter chunks, but not much beyond that.
You're a changed
No,
man.
no.
You're a sellout, Mike. You're an
I
absolute
know.
Hand in your
sellout.
pantser card. You are banned from the union.
Rob,
mean,
you're the
I'm-
only
I'm-
pantser
I'm-
left here now.
I'm a plotter, but Mike has always called himself a pantser.
Yeah, previously I for most stuff I have been. The way I mean, I think we've talked about this before. The way I write each book changes a bit, and certainly I find
Me
as
too.
the farther I get into a series, I kind of need to spend a little more time thinking about it, because I know how the trilogy is going to end. I'm just not really clear on how the fuck I'm going to get there, because it's insane. But we'll see. It'll work. Guess it just always does.
It's definitely like the further you get into a series, the more you have to. It's just, it needs to be done. Or sometimes, you you sort of like, you have to write a synopsis for book 2 and 3, and that's pain, because then you're like, I need a plan for book 2 and 3. My plan for book 2 and 3 was there was going to be a book 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. But this is probably a good point to wrap up this episode. I don't even know what I'll title this one. It's just sort of like a random thing about
Some
SPFBO,
shit.
about new
SPFBO
releases.
and talking a load of crap to each other.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Sometimes our butts get jealous of how much crap comes out of our mouth. Just how it is. Anyway, on that beautiful,
We're going to call this the filth
the
episode.
filth episode. So if you want to help support the show, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/wizards-warriors-words. You can also get free advanced reader copies of Pawn's Gambit and Neuralska Groans. Did I say it right?
No, but that's okay.
Yeah, every time
It's
Jed says
difficult for
Pawn's
you.
Gambit with his Australian accent, it sounds to me like Porn's Gambit.
Yeah, Porn's Gambit. That's what
Pawn's Gambit. I
Porn-
did a
Porn's-
cover of that.
Pawn's Gambit.
I did that cover. I did Pawn's Gambit. I did Prawn's Gambit. I did Fawn's Gambit. Corn's Gambit.
They are the unauthorized editions that people are hanging out for quite heavily. So thanks to our Patreons. Thanks to our high tier Patreon, Daniel Henderson, as well. Thank you so much for listening. See you all next time. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
See ya.